Hey y'all, in today's video, I'm going to show you how I made this cute little DIY scarecrow. Now, of course, you can just buy one at the dollar store instead of going through all this trouble, but I really wanted to make my own cute little scarecrow, so this is how I did it. And I'm using one of my son's old blue jeans. I got these dish towels from Dollar General. I thought they'd be really cute with the blue jeans. So I'm starting off by just cutting out the knee portion of this pant leg. I wanted to keep that because I thought it gave it some character. It'd be really cute for some little overalls for a scarecrow. And I cut that little center portion because this is where its legs are going to be. And I trimmed up the top a little bit because I felt like it needed to be a little bit shorter. And now I'm just making the pants for the overalls, so I'm just adding some hot glue and then just gluing those two pieces together, kind of tucking them in so it makes the pant legs a little bit smaller, as you'll see on the back. And now I'm just trying to figure out how to make it a little smaller on the top, so I'm just doing a line of glue along the side of our overalls and just making a whole new seam for it so that it's a little bit smaller. So you'll see it makes a perfect little seam on the side, so I just repeat the same process on the other side. So now I'm trying to figure out how I can incorporate a little shirt for our overalls. So I start off by sketching out a little shirt on this scrap piece of fabric, and I did end up drawing this a little too small, but we still end up making use of this here in a minute. And this is when I realized it's a little too small, so then I just take a little break from that for a moment and cut out a little pocket for our overalls. Now I am covering up the little hole in the pants a little bit with this, but it still has the edges of the hole in the pants to still give it that character. I just thought it would add a nice little touch to have a little pocket on it. And I'm using the seam from the pants as the straps for the overalls, so I'm just gluing those directly onto it. I thought that they were perfect for this, and when I turn it over, you'll see how cute these look so far. I was so happy with how they look so far, even though they weren't perfect. And now we're back trying to figure out how to do this little shirt. So here's the little mini shirts that I made. So what I end up doing is just gluing those in half, and they end up being perfect little sleeves to add to another scrap piece of fabric. It made a really cute little crop top for our scarecrow, but I'm pretty sure there's a better way of doing this, but this worked for mine, so I just proceeded on with it. So I just tucked that right on into the little overalls, and now we're going to add its little head, and for that I'm using a little pumpkin. And you can get these little pumpkins at Dollar General. They come on a little floral pick. I did find most of these last year at Dollar General. This year I've only seen the velvet ones like this, but these would also be really cute. I'm even thinking about doing another one of these, but doing like a jack-o'-lantern theme. And I'm just gluing that pumpkin directly onto the overalls. You could add a little stick to make it a little more secure if you want to. And then of course adding some little buttons on the overall straps. And now we're going to add some hair for our scarecrow. So I'm using some raffia grass, and I'm just tying it into a little bow and cutting off the edges and kind of fluffing it out a little bit. I did just use this little bit at first, but I do end up adding more later on, so I would suggest using a little more than what I'm using here. And now I'm just making a hat for our little scarecrow. I'm making that out of blue jean scraps. So I had one of these extra strips from the blue jean flower that I had made that I'm using for the rim of its hat. And I'm just gluing that right around the little stem of the pumpkin, and then attaching a little comb piece that I had made as the top of its hat right on top of that pumpkin stem. And now we're going to add its little feet and its little arms. So I'm just using the same raffia grass, making little bundles to stick down in its pant legs and to stick behind its arms. Now in hindsight, I should have left little pockets for me to be able to stick this into the sleeves of its arms, but I glued them shut, so I'm just attaching that to the back side. And I'm using scrap fabric to stuff in our scarecrow to make him a little thicker. And I stuffed some raffia grass in his little pocket, and I'm making a simple little bow. I just took a piece of burlap and I just pinched it together, and now I'm just tying it, and it makes a super cute and super simple little bow for him. Now this bow was a little bit too big, so I did have to trim it up a little bit, and now it's perfect for him. And that also helped cover up any imperfection I had going on with his neck, as well as secure his head and his body a little more. And now we're just going to draw on his eyes and his mouth, and I'm using a black paint pen for that. And it does end up bleeding a little bit just because of the type of texture the fabric was on my pumpkin, which ended up being fine to me because I think it gave him a little more of a scarecrow look because it kind of looked like extra stitching around his eyes. And I'm making his little nose out of a tiny little piece of cardboard, and I just dipped that in some Harvest orange paint, and I just kind of rubbed that paint into the cardboard to where you can see the cardboard through it a little bit to give it a little bit more of a rustic look. So this is where I'm trying to perfect it a little more, y'all. So I added some more hair to the back side of it, and then I thought the rim of the hat was a little too small, so I'm adding a larger piece of fabric strip along the rim of it and kind of curving it up a little bit to give it some character. And then just adding another little fine detail of tying some twine around its arms and its legs. And I did add some twine around its waist. I cut it off the front, but I glued it on the back so that way it would give his body a little more shape. Now I know this was a whole lot for one little scarecrow, but I love making stuff like this, so I really wanted to share it with y'all. Just in case you want to give this a try, I always want to inspire y'all to create, go out of your comfort zone a little bit and just give some new things a try. But I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. Be sure to hit the thumbs up if you did, and thank you so much for watching.